I'll do it another time. One more. No? No. Thank you. Good morning.
Cindy, Dan, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dan. I was so excited to start today. Good morning. My name is Cindy Chelkin. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm so glad we are sharing this time today, online and in the sanctuary. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of New Haven, USNH. We invite you to bring all that you are and the wisdom of your lives to this congregation today. You are welcome here. In our presence, may you always seek your truth, speak your truth in love, and live your truth with support. And through all your days in our presence, may you experience love. Couple of announcements. Please take a moment after the service, normally to check the announcements on the screen in the lobby, but since Jesse is at Star Island with the youth, you will refer to the USNH newsletter of June 27th in your inbox or on the USNH website at usnh.org for this week's announcements. In this caring congregation, we remind ourselves each week that some of us bear burdens made lighter as others help us carry them. Some of us hold joys that shine more brightly as others reflect our joy. We have one announcement today from Henry Kroll and Ellen Snyder, who say they are glad to be visiting their UU friend. They were born in New Haven about 80 years ago and are active UUs in Boulder, Colorado. Welcome. And for others who hold joys or sorrows in their heart, let us be with them in spirit today for a moment. The ongoing work of our community requires our collective efforts and our shared generosity. Ushers will be available in the back of the sanctuary after the service to receive plate donations. You are also invited to text a donation as explained in the order of service, or to mail a check here to 700 Hartford Turnpike in Hamden. In all the ways you choose to support your USNH, your generosity is deeply appreciated. As we invite Maggie Goodwin to the pulpit to share her hopes on today's theme, let's turn our devices to silent mode, settle in, and share this time together. Following Maggie's talk, please rise and body your spirit to sing hymn 1023, Building Bridges, in the Teal hymnal. Maggie, we welcome you.
Good morning, and thank you for coming to today's USNH Pride service. I'm Maggie Goodwin, and I'm representing the LGBTQ+ Welcoming Social Justice Task Force this morning. I identify as a white, cisgender female who's part of the LGBTQ community here at USNH, and as being a white, married, gay woman and a lesbian. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm here today to invite you to join the UUA, USNH, and me on a renewed journey to become a stronger ally to all those who identify as part of the LBG community. I suggest that the pronouns for the UUA and the USNH are we and us. And I suggest we and us, as members of this community, are called at this time to explore our own sexual and gender identity and to strive with intention to ally to all others, no matter what their sexual gender or identity is. I believe we are called to accept anyone's understanding of who they are and are asked to listen and accept ourselves and others' stated identities. I believe USNH is striving to create an environment where the values of equality and equity thrive, and there is no normal or abnormal sexual or gender identity here. Here we are asked to strive to not make assumptions about others' identity, not express negative judgments, and be willing to acknowledge how others understand who they are. In support of these intentions, the UUA at General Assembly passed a resolution last week confirming the commitment of the UUA to honor and celebrate the full spectrum of gender identity and expression. This includes recognizing the beauty and divine manifestation of being transgender or identifying with any gender other than the one assigned at birth, as well as being intersex. The UUA emphasized the inherent worthiness and dignity of each person, advocating for equity in congregations and the wider world. The resolution passed, but the discussion on the national level about the resolution highlighted for me and others here and in other congregations the need for a more in-depth discussion and ongoing discernment on allyship and the need for further exploration of welcoming in our congregations. I began to reflect, and I suggest I'm asking each of us to explore our own gender sexual identity, and while doing so, to work to rid each of us ourselves the mostly unspoken but strong cultural standards of normal or abnormal sexual identity. 3, we want to work hard to suspend negative judgments or on our own identity and of that of others. Each of you are exploring your own gender identity. This may not be something you have spent time examining or ever thought about, or you may have been focused on it like many of us for years. Regardless, I suggest that we all take some time to explore this anew. It may have changed through the years for you, or it may remain a constant. Many of you have maybe never even thought about it. But we're asking you and all of us to do that again. You may identify with your sex at birth, or you may not. You may identify as transgender or cisgender. You may use the pronoun they or X or others. You may use she, he, hers, her, they. You may identify as asexual or straight or cisgender or pansexual. You may identify as heterosexual, bisexual, asexual, or transgender. You may identify as gay, straight, excuse me, or intersex. You may identify as trans or lesbian. You may identify differently at any or with none of these terms. Your identification may be changing, or you may be totally clear as to how you identify. You've always identified that way, and it hasn't changed. You may be secure in your identity and sex at birth, or you may be questioning or be sure it needs to be changed. You may be 8, you may be 12, you may be 43, you may be 76, you may be 88, and your identity has changed through the years, and you've always been the same and never really thought about it. Some of you may know all these terms, and others may not know any and are not sure of what each one means. Exploring sexual gender identity is a new journey for some, and you have never questioned, and others, it has been the primary focus of their entire life. I'm asking and recommending that each of us takes this inventory. And I have to admit, for my personal perspective, I'm still working on a lot of these issues. I'm trying to make shifts in understanding the whole issue of sexual gender identity. At 75, I'm still trying to totally celebrate myself as a gay woman. It would have been so much easier for others if I just stayed straight. And I find I'm still fighting the ingrained belief that being a lesbian or a gay woman is not really that good, and it's not normal. That's in the back of my head. I'm still working on practicing true allyship of those who identify differently than I do in the LGBTQ plus community. I don't always understand others' perspective, but I try to keep listening. I'm reaching an understanding, finally, that your sex at birth is just a suggestion, not a definite determination of gender or sexual identity. I'm listening to people that describe the feeling of queer joy. This is where I'm going to cry. Finally, many young people have been able to experience being who they have always thought they were. I love to see their feeling of excitement and energy. I feel uncomfortable in some settings, sometimes identifying my pronouns, don't always know how to ask others to share theirs. I fight the sense of, can't we just not talk about this today? Or the right will say, I say to the right, lesbians, we're finally kind of okay, but this transgender thing is just really causing us a lot of problems. I struggle with how to talk to and listen respectfully to young people and children about these topics, many of whom have many more opinions and information than I do. I'm striving to be a true ally of the whole LGBTQ community, and I'm still working on myself on this journey. I do know, though, that it's an important time for us to work together on this issue, and it's an important topic to reflect on. So, I welcome you to my quest. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings, and I hope no matter what your gender or sexual identity is, you will join me in this intentional quest to be an ally of the entire LGBTQ plus community here at USNH. Today, we'll have a time for discussion or sharing at 12 in the Children's Chapel, and my number and email is in the directory. We have a gathering every second Sunday, also and in room 208 for folks to dialogue and to talk. And you may see me at least once a month with this sash, but I'm always open to conversation. Thanks again for coming, thanks for listening, and thanks for having an open heart. There will be also the discussion for the circle, the monthly circle will be, the ARE circle will be in room, I think it's in the library. Okay. Thank you very much for listening.
Good morning. I'm Rachel Grice. My pronouns are they or she. And our music for gathering is sing number 1023, the Teal Hymnal, Golden Bridges.
Okay, Sorry, let me do that again. My name is Arjuna Greist. My pronouns are they or she. Our music for gathering is hymn number 1023 in the Teal hymnal, and my mom Ellen is here to help me lead it as a round. We'll do it twice through together and then twice as a round. We get a D.
Hi, my name is Linda Barrett, and my pronouns are she, her. The call to worship today and the chalice lighting comes from this year's General Assembly in response to some harmful words about a resolution calling the Unitarian Universalist Association into deeper awareness, action around trans and non-binary rights. UU Minister Jacaren Alaioa, I probably said that wrong, offered the following words of healing and welcome. To my trans, non-binary, intersex, or gender diverse beloveds, lean in, lean in. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please do not leave the space without feeling my love and the love of others who see you as divine. I love you. You are divine. I love you. You are holy. I love you. You know who you are. Worthy of being whoever you need to be to survive and thrive in this world. I love you, and I will say it for 50 seconds if I need to. I love you. I love you, 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 I love you. Do not leave the space without knowing that you are loved. If you need a reminder, call me, email me, text me. What we will not do in this space is let you go another moment believing anything other than the fact that you are loved. As I said, these are the words of Reverend Jacaren Alaioa.
Covenant lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists and our religious forebears gather in community. We are united not by a particular set of beliefs, but by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. Please join me in saying the words of our shared USNH covenant that appear in your order of service or in the chat on the live stream. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy. Please rise again in body or spirit to sing with all our hearts hymn number 1019 in your teal hymnals, Everything Possible.
We have cleared off the table, the leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I have told you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are girls who grow up strong and bold, there are boys quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some raise children, some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads. And know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. So this poem is called Infinity, and I wrote it sort of about being a non-binary parent to a non-binary child. Their pronouns at this point are they, them. At the point I wrote the poem, it was anything, so I asked, and they said it was okay to leave it as is, as a historical document. 37 trillion. Is that the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy? No, not even close. That's a paltry 100 billion. Is it the US national debt? Closer, but not quite. This unfathomable figure is the average number of cells in a human body, all sprung forth from one. Dividing, growing exponentially over 265 days, give or take. A technicolor photo developing in a dark room in a chemical bath. A unique mix of heat, agitation, time, and whether the one providing oxygen and nutrients ate an avocado or ice cream or spicy tikka masala. Whether they got enough folate and calcium, whether they played music to their belly or passed on genetic trauma, whether they were running a temperature or running scared. 46 packets of DNA programmed to come together in 23 matched pairs. But since when has everyone at the dance had a partner? There are those who hold hands in a circle, those who improvise, some who groove alone. All of those variables, all of those whirling combinations of chemicals and chromosomes, of molecules and Mozart, hormones and mitochondria, tissues brimming with electric connections, the billions of different ways an individual can pop out, and then the trillions of things we hear, see, read, learn, think, eat, feel, touch, know, all of that. And some still insist there are exactly 2 ways to be. 2 colors, ignoring an endless spectrum. 2 tastes, as if we have forgotten our tongues. 2 words, denying that we are epic poems. When my child was in my womb, floating in that small ocean, I knew they held an entire galaxy within. Yes, because of the star stuff, those 6 little Lego blocks with which all life on Earth is built. The carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and phosphorus flung across space when some ancient star went supernova, reconfigured billions of times as amoeba and crustaceans, as seaweed and ferns, as pterosaurs and tangerines and trilobites and troglodytes, until coalescing, for now, as this particular tiny human. Yes, the stardust, but also the staggering possibilities. 300 million skin cells, the tickles, the kisses, the high fives, the hugs, and every 7 years you get a full new set. 3 billion heart cells, the passions, the care, the yearning, the adrenaline, experiencing emotions like laughter through tears. 10 billion nerve cells in a gelatinous brain, synapses firing, interpreting signals, sending instructions, learning, speaking, singing, joking, writing, wondering why. Mom, tell me 9 things that are infinite. It is almost midnight, and my 6-year-old knows just how to stall bedtime. Space, I say, glancing at the stars projected on the ceiling, wondering if my child will really be, as they confidently assert, the first kid on Mars. Time, I sigh, as it stretches back behind us and forward in front of us and also all around us. Because how did she get to be old enough to contemplate infinity when I gave birth perhaps a year ago? Numbers, of course, This one is enamored with numbers, counting and adding and multiplying and making careful worksheets for me to complete. He may well become the first person I know to count to 1,000,000. Songs you can sing, I smile. Your name means my garden or my song. You are my favorite song. Sing me a lullaby, like when I was younger, the north wind. I gladly comply. Stories you can tell, I laugh, because we create stories together all the time now. Mostly silly ones about monkeys and elephants or superheroes and villains, but sometimes tales of who we want to be. Ways to cook food, I murmur, remembering their pride and excitement while helping to make pancakes that morning. They spilled a messy constellation of flour on the counter and their eyes twinkled like mischievous stars. Art you can make, I observe. We have created an artist, one who produces portraits and landscapes and still lifes and sculptures and characters and comics nearly every waking moment. Her hands are like little impressionist palettes, colors smudged into each other like dusk or dawn. Love is infinite, I say, and hope. Mom, my child scolds, like I haven't finished the assignment. Love and hope are the same thing.
Good morning. I'm Jamie Johnson, and my pronouns are she, her. And I'm sharing with you Any Other Questions by Victoria Safford. People ask me sometimes, is this a gay church? It is a privilege to answer. Ours is absolutely, gladly, hopefully and humbly, gaily, a gay church. A gay tradition where everyone, including heterosexual members and friends, is welcome. Where everyone is needed. Where everyone's experience is cherished as a sacred text. Because no one's experience of living or loving can be comprehensive. Because each of us holds clues the others need about how to live with dignity and joy as a human person, and none of us knows enough about that yet to be considered whole. It is absolutely a gay church, even as ours is a gay world. If you would look around, gay church, straight church, people's church, a human congregation made holy by the holy hopes and fears and dreams of all who wish to come. Come in, we say. Come out. Come in. We're all in this together. I will not speak of tolerance with its courteous clenched teeth and bitter resignation. I will not speak about acceptance of other people and some other kind of lifestyle. I can only look in laughing wonder at human life in all its incarnations. I can taste only in passing the breath of spirit of life on my mouth and understand our common longing to breathe in deep, deep gulps of it. I cannot think of being anybody else's ally, even because even that implies some degree of separation, some degree of safety for some of us, not all. We are allied with no one and with nothing but love, the larger love transcending all our understanding, within which all the differing, gorgeously various, variant, beautifully deviant aspects of ourselves are bound in elegant unity. I know that on some sad and disappointing days, these words describe the church that yet shall be, and not the church that is. I know. But I know too that to answer is an act of creation. To answer the question, and some others, is a privilege, a prophetic imperative, a joy, a duty, and a holy sacrament. And join me now in silence and time for reflection and meditation.
Good morning. I'm Tristan Grice. I'm Arjuna's husband, Ellen's son-in-law, father to Zimri. And I'm going to read a piece that I wrote about a month ago. It's an important piece for me personally because it's one of the core experiences that shaped my life here in New England. And it's not necessarily a happy piece, but it's a powerful piece, and I hope you can see while I'm sharing this with you that my life has, since this time, become so wonderful, and celebrate that with me. It's called No Place at the Table. It was after my years spent at the Peace Pagoda. My hair had grown back. I was back in college. I had a girlfriend. Things were looking up. My folks offered to fly me home to Kansas for Christmas, and I was happy to go. I wanted to see everyone and let everyone see me. It had been years. I was aching to reconnect. This was my mother's side of the family, the Nurbis farmers, down to earth, practical, with wry senses of humor, and so much love. How I had missed them all, uncles, aunts, and so many cousins. I flew home, and a day later, me and my folks drove to my Uncle Bob's house out in the country. It was Aunt Bernice's turn to host Christmas. The house smelled wonderful, and there was a new generation of little cousins underfoot. So much hustle and bustle as my mother helped her sister set the table, and all the older women shuffled in and out of the kitchen, carrying platters and bowls. There was turkey and stuffing, a big juicy ham, mashed potatoes, a huge bowl of gravy, green bean casserole, steaming buttered corn, my Aunt Pat's famous scalloped oysters, various relishes, mostly pickles, canned by my mom and the aunts, and oh my, the pies. So many pies. Mostly fruit pies, but Mom did bring her legendary lemon meringue. I was standing out of the way, just taking it all in. It was so good to be home. I was looking forward to a meal at the big table with the rest of the adults. It would be my first time eating there, In past years, I was still a kid and ate in the kitchen with my twin and cousin Danny. But now we had all grown up, and there was a new group of littles in the kitchen. As everyone started heading into the dining room to find seats around the huge, long table loaded down with food, Mom sidled up to me. "Gina, I'm afraid you're going to have to eat in the kitchen. There's no room for you at the table." "What?" I exclaimed. "But I want to see everyone." "I'm sorry, but that's how it has to be." My heart sank into my shoes, and then it broke. It had been years, nearly a decade since I'd seen everyone together. There was so much to catch up on. Several of my cousins were now married with babies, and I wanted so badly to share a meal with all of them, laughing and talking around the busy, crowded table. Instead, pale and numb, buzzing with hurt, I sat with several toddlers whom I didn't know in the kitchen at a tiny children's table. I couldn't even see the adults in the other room, and the sounds were muted. I couldn't taste the food on my plate. It was then that I knew there was no coming home for me. There never would be a place at the table. My family didn't want to commune with me. They wanted me out of sight. I made them uncomfortable. It was the last time I ever flew home to attend a family holiday gathering. To this day, the memory of that awful Christmas hurts. I woke up this morning reliving it and knew it was time to write it down. This is a big part of my shadow work. I don't know how to heal this soul wound, but I implore my friends, if you have queer prodigal children who return home after years of strange adventures, please give them a seat at the table.
Our next song is number 407. All right. And again, Mom's going to help me lead it, but please rise as you embody your spirit. All right. We're going to sit at the welcome table. We're going to sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style. No fancy style around that table. No fancy style around that table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. We're gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
I'm Reverend Stephen Kendrick. My pronouns are he and his and sis. Earlier this summer, I was in New York City walking with Anna Alexander and my new granddaughter Victoria and Liz. And we were taking a long walk. Well, I called it a long walk. Liz called it a jaunt. and my knees said, I need to sit down, and there was this inviting little bitty park in the middle of New York City, near Greenwich Village, and I said, I'm going to sit there, and it turns out it's the smallest national park in America. It's across the street from the Stonewall Inn, and about 30 people can sit there at the benches under the trees. This week, the subway station near there is being rechristened the Christopher Street Stonewall National Monument Station. A new cultural space is opening called the Stonewall National Monument Visitor Center. You all know the Stonewall story. June 28th, 1969, 55 years ago, but it seems like an eternity in our history. And LGBT people rose up. The police called it a riot. Maybe it was. But it was a rebellion in the great American tradition. No doubt about that. A primal American value to stand up for freedom and for dignity. So happy Pride Week, everyone. Happy Pride Week. But this story, we know. This has been a very autobiographical service in some really powerful ways. And so the story is not easy. Sometimes it has a celebratory dimension with a shadow side that goes along with it. The New York Times called it this week, the story of a vulnerable people who have achieved over half a century, and against heavy odds, some measure of political and social justice, but it's also about people who remain under threat, even if they think that they are in the clear. And it's really true. Under threat. Pride Week here and everywhere in America, where people have the vision and the courage to celebrate it, is understanding what this effort is ultimately all about. And amidst the assertion of joy is also an assertion of determination and grit and solidarity. This is our Pride service today, and it matters. That little park I talked about at the beginning of this homily was a beautiful place to sit and to pause and to catch my breath. But not, as I wrote these words, I realized it was not a place to rest. Not a place to rest. Resting is not an option. And while I am also going to be autobiographical today, this is a good time to confess so much of this story I get secondhand because it's related to me by people that I care about, and I haven't lived it. I wanted to be in this service today, not because I'm knowledgeable or authoritative or even keyed in, really. I'm more here to continue to learn, to listen, to figure out how people like me, my age, my upbringing, can continue to do this process of learning and listening, of just being quiet and experiencing the heart and soul stretching experience of others among us, within our families. our neighbors, our friends, our congregants, so that we can struggle with them. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed, and then we know we have to listen harder. And I'm calling this a homily and not a sermon, because quite frankly, it's coming from a place of humility. So much about LGBTQ plus that I don't really understand, although I want to. That allyship that Maggie talked about at the very beginning of this service, it means a lot to me. And I would emphasize that plus at the end of LGBTQ plus, with an emphasis on the unfolding realization of how creative and fascinating human experience truly is. Beyond all labels, beyond all names, every single person has a unique journey, lived in their skin. And one more admission. More than 25 years ago, I left a lovely congregation in Connecticut to go minister in Boston. And I left partly because I felt that a strong need to be challenged, to learn and to grow as a Unitarian Universalist minister. And so in 2001, in the shadow of 9/11, I found myself climbing the stairs to the Arlington Street Church for a Back Bay clergy meeting that was designed to try to get Massachusetts to be the first state in the Union to work for and acknowledge and legalize same-sex marriage. It seemed far away. It seemed beyond aspirational. But we saw it all happen. Everything broke free and opened up. It happened. We got to celebrate it. What was longed for and suffered for so long by so many people became a joyful expression. I got to lead in the first week of that shift and change a member's wedding to his partner. Good old revolutionary Boston. And I repeat and emphasize, nothing more than a foot soldier, no visionary, no prophet. But I did want to see it. I wanted to be part of it in some small way, to sense what pride really meant in people's lives as all this unfolded before us. And sometimes for people that I loved and cared for within them. And to me, if I can sum it up, everything I've learned in those 25 years and continue to want to learn today is a classic New England attitude, which is to let people be comfortable in their own skin. It's beyond just letting people be themselves. It's beyond just letting people do their own business. It is ultimately to let people be who they are in their own skin, however that lived and whoever's skin they wish to be close to. Is this human freedom? Yes. Is this dignity? Absolutely. But it's so much more than this. It's mostly a deepening recognition for anyone and everyone to be able to live their lives with confidence, with fullness, and with fulfillment in their own skin. That's the minimum. That's the minimum. No repression, no shame, No judgment or punishment, and certainly is the American dream capable of this. No hate. No hate. So we need to be joyful and we need to be assertive. But it's not time yet to rest. Happy Pride Week, everyone. Happy Pride Week. Amen. Arjuna, you're back. I want to know where Freddie's in heaven.
Well, first, speaking of gay marriage, I want to quickly send out a little mazel tov to my cousin Bob, who just turned 92, and like the day before, or maybe 2 days before, with his partner of about 40 years, Alan, decided to get married. So mazel tov. All right. Well, Freddie in Heaven is an exercise in attempting to live out the UU value of respecting the inherent worth and dignity of every person, even when it's incredibly difficult because they do not respect the inherent worth and dignity of me and the people that I love. It actually started as Jerry in Heaven after when Jerry Falwell died, and then it switched to Freddie in Heaven after Fred Phelps died. And when the next, big powerful person who uses religion as a bludgeon against anyone who's different dies, it'll probably change again. But right now it's Freddie in Heaven. Freddie's a little too low. Freddie opened his eyes and looked all around. It seemed like the stars were falling down. He called out for Jesus, but he could not make a sound. The chorus sang out as he started to rise. Welcome to heaven. We're so glad you're here. We've been waiting to see you for so many years. We offer forgiveness for all that you've done and said. Do not try to speak, but open your heart and listen instead. And then she appeared in a heavenly glow. She soothed him and said, "You're scared, I know. It has always been fear that made you cause so much pain. But now that you're here, we can be happy again. 'Cause now you're in heaven. The reason's quite clear. All our lives we stood for love and freedom. And that's what we stand for here. We're the children who were thrown out for being gay. We're the ones who were silenced for what we had to say. But now we can forgive you. 'Cause it's our heaven too." Freddie started to weep. She held him as he cried. He found he could only ask her why. "If I were you, having lived what I put you through, I would have damned me to hell for 1,000,000 years." She said, "Then you should be thankful heaven's not run by you, but by witches and feminists and queers. And now you're in heaven. Now you're in heaven. Now you're in heaven. Now you're in heaven.
I invite up forward Linda to lead our extinguishing the chalice words, and Carol and Linda to do the honors.
Wow. Thank you, Arjuna. That was really amazing. Please recite with me in your order of service as we just extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And the benediction words from Cricket Hall: may the drag stage rise to meet you. May the world rise to accept and embrace you. May the rainbow of love enfold you. May your fluidity never be hindered. May your pronouns also be supported and your dead name forgotten. May those you invite into your life remain loyal. May your chosen family lift you up and catch you when you need it. May you be able to catch others when they need it. May you remember sensitivity is not weakness, but instead a great strength welling up inside you. Until we meet again, may you remember that you are loved and you are divine. And our postlude, Arjuna and Ellen leading us into Holly Near's anthem, Gentle, Angry People, 170, and we're going to change gay and straight together. If you will instead, we beg of you, a rainbow of inclusion instead of gay and straight together. Gentle, Angry People, 170.
Right. An E.
We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people. We are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
It was all you.
Well, Janet has been the minister for 14 years and she's retired. She just retired.
She was in my class.
Oh, yeah, and, I don't know if she's married, but I didn't.
You were great. Thank you. Happy New Year. Okay. Your little one sounds like very curious. I have a little curiosity I'd like to share with you. His name is Bolo. Former French colonist. And after some research, they discovered that about 2 billion years ago, a naturally occurring fishing reaction emerged. Actually, there's probably more than one, but there's one with about 250 years, the very first time found eons before anybody, any human, even walked the earth. And it's just like the most remarkable. Nature actually created atomic power before humans ever thought. 2 billion years ago. I would know this.
Oh, yeah?